What's going on, you guys? In this video, we're going to talk all about bipolar 2 because, yeah, I got that also. What's going on, my plant people? I am the ADHD gardener, where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of therapy, and today is all about bipolar 2. Now, why would the ADHD gardener be talking about bipolar 2? Well, I got that also. We're going to go over a little about how I developed bipolar and what are the signs and symptoms about it. I am not a doctor, I am a registered nurse, but I am retired. So this is just my story. Okay, now what is bipolar 2? According to the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for all things psychiatry, bipolar 2 is categorized as intense, euphoric feelings and periods of depressive episodes. Now, the difference between bipolar 1 and 2 is the fact that we don't reach complete full mania. We don't reach psychosis, we don't hallucinate, we don't get delusions, so we're more of a milder version of full-blown bipolar. Now, does it suck still? Of course it does! Of course this shit sucks. I mean, really. But let's get into some signs and symptoms about what exactly is bipolar. Now, technically, according to the DSM, that you have to have multiple episodes of hypomania and depressive episodes within a year. I don't have the full detail as to how many episodes and whatnot because I'm not a doctor. This year would make 17 years with MS. Now, the problem with MS is an autoimmune disease and it affects and attacks the nerves in your body. Now, what happens is once you have a relapse or you have an attack on those nerves, they tend to scar up and scar over. The scarred over areas and parts of the brain that have been affected from the MS scars over, and we call them lesions. Now, unfortunately, I have a lesion right here on my prefrontal lobe. Now, that area of the brain is responsible for executive function, for emotions, and for thought processing and all that. So that is where I'm affected. So my ADHD has basically gotten amplified. But now, being that I have the lesion on my brain in this area, it has affected my emotions, which has led me to having bipolar. This is more common than you think when it comes to MS, because over the years we have a lot of cognitive and emotional problems. So bam, here I am with bipolar 2. How can you tell if you have a little bit of emotional dysregulation up in there? Let's go find out. Being that bipolar 2 is not as extreme, is less severe than full-blown mania, that does not mean that it does not impact our life. It really does. I'll tell you, social aspect, financial aspect, sometimes legal aspect. Okay, so let's go over some signs and symptoms. Of course, I have my handy dandy list because I can never remember it all. So let's talk about signs and symptoms of bipolar 2. Mind you, this is just about bipolar 2. There is bipolar 1, there's bipolar schizoaffective. There's so many different kinds, but for me, it's just bipolar 2. So let's start. Mind you, all these symptoms that we're gonna go over involve hypomania. Hypomania, not full-blown mania, hypomania. Number 1 is energy level. Do you have an increased energy level? Do you have just ridiculous amounts of energy that you have to release? Now, notice how this sounds very similar to ADHD. Number 2, you have an inflated sense of self-esteem. You feel like you are the best thing on earth, that you can accomplish anything and everything, that you're the hottest shit in the world, that you think you are the best thing since sliced bread, and that you can do anything. The next one is decreased sleep. Now, again, mind you, ADHD people have trouble sleeping as it is. Keep in mind when you're listening to these symptoms that a lot of them can mimic ADHD, which is why they kind of go hand in hand in a way. You have so much energy pumping through your body that you can't sleep or you don't want to sleep. And I'm an insomniac, so imagine me with less sleep as I already get. It's crazy. Next symptom is talkative. Are you talkative? Can you talk somebody's ear off? Do you have all these things that you have to say? Again, doesn't this sound like ADHD? Mind you, yeah, you may have a lot of these symptoms and not have bipolar. But mind you, the difference is with bipolar, everything is amplified. Everything is intense, way much. So you may feel something at a level 2. We feel it at like a level 8, level 9. Everything is intense for us. If we're happy, we're super happy. Mind you, again, all these symptoms sound just like ADHD now, don't they? Another one is racing thoughts. You have so many ideas, you have so many thoughts floating through your brain that sometimes it's even difficult to speak and make sentences. I know that sounds really weird, but yeah, it happens. You have so many ideas because of the excess energy, that you have running through your body. Mind you, again, ADHD, we really have a lot of thoughts always going through our mind. But the difference is with this one is that we have all of those thoughts, but they're amplified. They are sped up. It's like somebody put some nitrous in my car. It is distractibility. You can't keep your attention for nothing. Again, these signs and symptoms sound very familiar to ADHD, which is why a lot of ADHD people get misdiagnosed. They get misdiagnosed as bipolar. Okay, do you have increase in goal activity? It's like hyperfocus on steroids. It's crazy. Like, you really are goal orientated. For example, if I'm outside in my garden and I have to plant some plants today, I will be out there until midnight, pitch black dark, trying to finish what I need to do. That's just an example. But yeah, you are laser focused. Again, doesn't it sound like hyper focus from ADHD? But more intense, way more intense. You have an increase in pleasurable activities. Basically, you want to do what you want that makes you feel good. Okay, for example, I love to dance. I dance all the time throughout my house, even when nobody's here. I just like to move and whatnot. But guess what? When I'm in hypomania, I want to party. Party, party, party. Basically, I want to party and dance forever and then drink my face off. Anything that gives you pleasure or that you really want to do, maybe it's a casino. Maybe you spend way too much money at a casino. You decide to just go spend all your finances there. These are things that impact your life. Those symptoms are just hypomania, okay? Those are just the increase of emotions and feelings and energy. Now, what about the depression? That is interesting. Two kind of categories that really people react to when they have their depressive episodes. You have the first type of people that tend to basically sleep in bed and don't get up. They're in bed, they don't move, they sleep too much, they just don't want to do anything and they stay in bed and sleep. They'll sleep through their depressive episode, and that depressive episode can last a month. Guess what? They're in bed for a month. Yes, it is quite debilitating for them. I personally don't get that way. The second category of people is called an irritability depression, which is they get irritable, aggressive, mean, mad, angry. That's me. I don't like to be sad. I don't like to be depressed. I don't like to cry. It's not my thing. I've been raised to be really independent and a strong woman, so I don't like to show those kind of emotions. I don't even like to feel those kind of emotions. I get very, very angry. I get irritable. Mind you, these are all signs and symptoms of depressive episodes, okay? Remember, we talked about hypomania, but now we're talking about depressive episodes. You may know what depression feels like. However, the depressive episodes of bipolar are intense. You may feel sad, but we feel super sad. We feel super sad. We beat ourselves up. We get into this rabbit hole that we just can't get out of. Unfortunately, depression is just how it is. It's not just something that you could just wake up and make it go away. So unfortunately, my depression shows up as irritability and anger. And I get quite aggressive. Let's talk. I get aggressive. I get angry. So when I'm having a downswing, I get nasty. I'm a total bitch. But I don't want to be like that. And that's why I moved out of Jersey. That is why I moved out of the city, and I wound up moving to Pennsylvania in the middle of the woods. And I love it. I love it. Of the woods. I love the trees. I love the greenery. I just love it. I found out that it calmed me down. Yes, it was an adjustment to move out here into the woods because I'm used to partying. I'm used to the city life. I'm used to going to New York like almost every day. I worked in New York. It was an adjustment, but boy, I found peace. I found calming streams. I found trees. I found all these wonderful plants. I had the space now to grow vegetables. Once I really started getting into houseplants and gardening, full blown, man, I really felt a lot better. I was happier. I was smiling more. If I was irritable, I'd go to my plants. If I was pissed off, I needed to go walk, I walked in the woods. It's just a calming, natural, relaxing feeling that I get. I'm not saying that houseplants and gardening is gonna take away my bipolar, because it's totally not. The lesion is still there, that ain't going nowhere. But this is all about management and treatment, okay? You can go to cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT therapy, which is fantastic. I go to therapy also. Plants and gardening is another form of therapy. It's called horticulture therapy, and that is what my goal of my channel is. I want to find my mental health peace, and I hope that you can find your mental health peace if you need to find that too. I'm speaking for the people that don't have a voice. And here I am in all of my MS, ADHD, and bipolar glory. Boop, here comes Jackie. Add the little Latin spice in there and pooh, what do you got? You got me. Do you guys struggle with anything? It doesn't have to be bipolar. It could be ADHD, depression, it could be anxiety, it could be anything. I go through all of those emotions, so I understand. So let me know in the comments down below if you suffer from any sort of mental illness or you're trying to find your peace and chill. Now, if you like this video, don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out and it helps out my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this on gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of therapy, then consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. I drop a video every week and then sometimes in between. Also, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, but on Facebook, I'm on there every day. We can get personal, we can laugh, we can just cry, we can do whatever. As usual, I want to thank you guys for chilling with me and my plants and my story. And until next time, you guys, peace and love.